Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me. I've got a 7-day flexibility series here for you. We're going to be moving through different parts of the body, practicing our flexibility and mobility in all different areas. So today we are going to be focusing on the feet, ankles, and knees. This is going to be great for any of you that are dealing with like plantar fasciitis or old knee replacements or knee injuries, or if you know that your feet are just stiff and tight in general. We're going to do some really simple exercises and movements that can help loosen up tightness and improve the mobility and range of motion in your feet and ankles, as well as helping to lubricate and strengthen the knees as well. All right, so you can go ahead and roll out your mat, and we are going to start our practice today sitting. And the best part about today's practice is that we are starting with some self-massage. So you can just make yourself comfortable on your seat and then take one of your feet into your hands and you can start massaging your feet. Now, if you're not really a foot person, usually it's okay to touch your own feet, or maybe you could put some socks on and it's not so scary. But once you start getting in there, really think about creating mobility through your foot, starting to knead it in opposite directions, getting some twisting and turning in there, really manipulating the foot and getting as much movement in there as you can. So a lot of times from wearing tight binding shoes, our feet get really tight and a lot of adhesions happen, and it reduces the mobility in our foot, and this can create a whole lot of problems over time. So just taking a little bit of time to do some self-massage and help your feet feel better, that's gonna make a big difference over time. And you can also massage your little toes. If you like to give them a little tug, you can do that. Anything that feels good here, just mobilizing your feet. And once you've got one foot good, you can go ahead and switch and start to massage the other foot, right? So we wanna be sure and give equal love to both parties here. So again, just using your hands, you can knead your feet in all different directions, getting that mobility going. And just using this opportunity to show yourself some love. Massaging your body is so nourishing. Of course, it's not as nice as when someone else is massaging for you, but nonetheless, it can still be really, really awesome to give yourself a little massage, and you know exactly how much pressure to use, you know exactly where it hurts. So in some ways, you really can give yourself the best massage. So we'll just take another minute here to love on your toes or give yourself any other rub-ins on your feet where you need it. And then we're going to come to our tabletop position. So coming up onto your hands and knees, I want you to tuck your toes underneath you and then start to work your hips back onto your heels. Now for some people this is going to be really tight, and if that's the case, you can kind of rock gently front and back, sinking your hips down towards your heels and just feeling that stretch through the bottoms of your feet. If you do have a little bit more mobility and you can actually sit your hips back, you can start to walk your hands back towards your knees, taking you to an even deeper stretch, or coming all the way up to kneeling. So this would be kind of the most intense variation, and it will definitely fire up the soles of your feet. But this is an amazing stretch, you guys. If you're dealing with that plantar fasciitis or that tension and tightness on the soles of your feet, if you can do this stretch for 1 minute per day, 1 minute, set a timer and sit like this for 1 minute a day, your feet will feel so much better. So we'll just hang here for another cycle of breath, just letting yourself focus and feel into that stretch at whatever level you're working. Okay, then go ahead and bring your hands back down And we're gonna lift the hips up, coming to a downward facing dog, and here just pedal out your feet. So this is a gentle stretch as you bend one knee and then the other, working to lengthen out the fibers in the backs of your legs. And as you press your heels down, you can feel the Achilles tendon stretching, as well as maybe even getting some stretch along the ligaments at the backs of your knees. So just breathe into those places as you continue to pedal out your feet. And the more you can press into your hands and lift your hips up, the deeper it's going to stretch behind your legs. So you're in the driver's seat. You get to determine how much stretch is enough. And just remember that the more you can lift your hips, the more it's going to stretch. Right? All right, guys, we're going to walk your feet all the way forward and actually come to standing on your mat. I'm just going to turn and face you here, and we're going to continue focusing on the ankles and feet by doing a little ankle rolling. So take one foot, I'm starting with my right, and you're going to just start to roll your foot around your mat. Try and get your full range of motion as you swirl your ankle around. And we'll just do a couple more circles here. And then we'll switch to the other side. Balancing on one foot, roll the other ankle. Try and get your full range of motion as you roll all the way around. Okay, then we'll go ahead and stand the feet down. And now I want you to bend both knees slightly, bring one knee forward parallel, and press to the tops of your toes. So you get a stretch across the top of your foot, and then roll through your foot and change to the other side. Pressing to the top of that foot, then rolling your toes back. And we're just going to move through this cycle. You can start to move a little bit faster, going side to side, stretching your feet, rolling through your foot as you change sides. It's a fun little balance challenge. And so you can keep going slow like this. This is totally fine. But for this last couple of rounds, if you want, we can kind of pick it up and get a little bit more mobility here. You might start to hear some snaps and some cracks and some pops. That's a good sign that energy is moving, air is moving out of the joints, things are getting lubricated and softening up here. Okay, so we'll finish our foot rolls here, coming back to center, bringing your feet parallel. Let's just bend into your knees. You can bring your hands onto your knees to give yourself some support. And let's just roll those knees around. So this is a pretty straightforward movement, but it definitely starts to build some heat, some warmth in the knees, feeling strength in the quads as well as in the ankles. So this is a really good one to practice for a few minutes a day. Will definitely help to strengthen and heal any wounds in the knees. And we'll change directions. Want to be sure we go both ways. And just notice if you feel that one direction is easier than the other. Sometimes that can be the case. We never know what sorts of imbalances exist in our bodies. So we'll just make a few more circles here for 3, 2, and 1. And we'll come up. Just walk out your feet a little bit. Feeling that mobility through your knees, through your ankles, and through your toes, all the way through your feet. Nice work. Then we're going to come and sit down on your mat one more time. And this last stretch I'm going to show you is the half lotus. And it is a really powerful stretch for opening up tight knees. All right, so we're going to take a kind of simplified version by extending one leg forward. And then for me, I'm going to use my left foot. and bring my foot up to the highest point of my hip crease, as high up as possible. And if your hips are very tight, if your knees are very tight, your knee might be at a high angle. But our goal is to start pressing that knee down towards the earth. Eventually, the knee will come all the way down. And maybe if that's not happening for you today, it's no worries. You can just keep that hand pressing on your knee, keep lifting up through your spine, gently encouraging that knee to come down to the earth. Eventually, the knee will come down, the hip will open. If you'd like to take this stretch one step further, you can reach forward for your extended leg, reaching for those toes. If you've got a hold of your toes, you can even think about pulling back, which is, again, going to increase the stretch behind your knee, as well as increasing the flexibility through the bottom of your feet and your toes. So we'll be here for another breath in and a breath out. Then we'll get ready to change sides. So you can release your feet, release your leg, and then extend that leg forward. And then we'll bend, in this case, my right leg, but you can just do the opposite side, whatever leg you haven't already done. So we're gonna bring that foot as high up into your hip crease as you can. And then we're working to bring that knee down to the floor, using your hand to give yourself a little pressure, gently guiding that knee down, and just be in a patient observance of whatever you're feeling. If that knee is tight, if it's reluctant, just breathe into it, be patient. Wherever you are in the process is just perfect. So anyone is welcome to just stay and continue practicing right here. If you're still working on getting your knee open, that is the perfect place to be. If you are wanting to take this another step deeper, you can reach forward towards the front toes. Try and pull back on your foot, increasing the stretch behind your knee, as well as opening the sole of your foot and your toes. So this is a pretty big stretch, you guys. Wherever you are, let's take another breath in and out, letting it release. You'll just extend your legs forward. You can let your hands come back to support you and just bounce your knees a little bit, shaking it out, wiggle. You can do a few little circles with your feet in both directions. Getting any last minute crinks and cracks out of the way. And now you should be feeling a lot more loose and open in your feet, ankles, and knees. So thank you very much for joining me in this practice today. Thanks for participating in our 7-day series. We'll look forward to seeing you in one of the other videos and take you into that total body flexibility. Thanks for subscribing. We'll see you next time. Namaste.